All right. I just wanted to make a quick video on how I memorize and work through filling in the unit circle from scratch. So as a memorization technique here. I am a very bad memorizer, just for reference. I'm not great at memorizing, but I can fill in this whole thing no problem. And I want to talk you through what my thought process is here. So I'm going to start with doing the angles. So the idea here is coordinates will go in these squares with the solid border, dash border is radian measurements, circles are degree measurements. So I'm going to start with degree measurements. And I start by thinking about the 30-degree angles. So I know if I split this thing into, should use a slightly thicker marker there. If I split this thing on the 30, 60, and 90-degree lines. Boom. I've split this now into a total of 12 pieces. So I know each of these jumps is 30 degrees. So I know that the first line here is a 30-degree one. The outside one is a 60-degree one. And it's the same, right, in each quadrant. I'm just going to leave the middle 45-degree one alone. But I've cut this now into an equal 12 pieces. And again, each of these are 30 here. And I can just start counting by 30s now. So I'm gonna kind of erase, well, I'll write and then I'll erase. So this is 30, that's not 30 degrees. This is 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees. I'm just counting by 30, 150 degrees, 180 degrees, 210 degrees, 240 degrees, 270 degrees, 300 degrees, 330 degrees, and technically this guy right here should also be 360 degrees. Very technically, right? So I have those angles filled out. The remaining ones are going to be those 45-degree angles in between. So why don't I go ahead and whoop. Actually, you know what? I'll leave those up there for just a moment. Nope, I'll delete them. I'll come back for the radian measurements later. All right, I know this is a 45-degree angle. And then this 45-degree angle here, it should be 45 degrees past 90. So I think in my head, 90 plus 45, and that's 135 degrees. This 45-degree angle down here should be 45 degrees after 180. So 180 plus 45 is 225. 225 degrees. And then finally, we have this spoke right here, which should be 45 degrees away from 270, or you could think of it as 45 degrees less than 360. And that is 315 degrees. You might also notice that each of these angles is perfectly halfway between the 30 and the 60. So there's a total of 30 degrees between these two angles, this, the 30-degree angles and the 60-degree angles. And the 45-degree angle is located halfway through it. So it's halfway between these numbers is another way of looking at it. All right, so I have those guys done. I'm going to work on the radian angles now. So I know that the lines that are closest to the x-axis, I know that those are my pi over 6 angles. And I know that, so I know we have pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6, right? And I'm just going to think of 1/3, 1/4, 1/6. I know that this is the smallest number. This is the biggest number, even though it looks different, right? 1/3 is bigger than 1/6. So the smallest angle here should be the pi over 6 angle. So this is pi over 6. And I know that any of these guys that are closest to the x-axis, those are all going to be pi over 6 angles. In quadrant 2, it should be 5 pi over 6. In quadrant 3, that is 7 pi over 6. In quadrant 4, that's 11 pi over 6. And we talked about this back at the beginning of the semester about In quadrant 1, the denominator is always going to be pi for our special angles. In quadrant 2, the numerator is 1 less than the denominator. In quadrant 3, the numerator is 1 more than the denominator. And in quadrant 4, the numerator is 1 less than twice the denominator. All right, the pi over 4 angles, the middle angles, those are pi over 4. So this is pi over 4. Over here, 1 less than the denominator, so 3 pi over 4. For the next one, 1 more than the denominator, 5 pi over 4. And in our last one, 1 less than twice. So twice 4 is 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 pi over 4 is this guy here. Of course, this is 0/2 pi. This is pi over 2. We've done this a million times. This is pi. This is 3 pi over 2. Just get those out of the way. Lastly, we have the pi over 3 angles because those are the bigger ones. So they're the ones that are further up, closest to the y-axis. The pi over 3s. So this is pi over 3. This numerator should be 1 less than the denominator. So 2 is 1 less than 3. So 2 pi over 3. Down here in quadrant 3, 1 more than the denominator. So 4 pi over 3. And in quadrant 4, 1 less than twice the denominator. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So 5 pi over 3. All right, so the angles are done. Now it's just a matter of the coordinate points. So I know that the easiest way to start this is to put the signs in. Everything in quadrant 1, it's a positive comma, a positive. In quadrant 2, it's negative x, positive y. In quadrant 3, negative x, negative y. Quadrant 4, positive x, negative y. So let me just kind of do my opening parentheses here. I'm going to go ahead and put my negatives in. So I know that the x values are going to be negative over here. These x values will be negative. And then the y values are going to be negative, but I'm going to go ahead and put I'll put the y negatives in later, just so make sure I have enough space here. All right, the first point I have is 1, 0. That's just where it is, right? And then for the pi over 6 and the pi over 3 angles, the thing that I'm looking for, I'm thinking in my head, this is what I'm really thinking when I'm trying to remember, because like I said, I don't have a great memory. I know that cosine is the x value, so that's this value here. So the first number here is the length over here. And that, well, I mean, I guess that triangle doesn't go all the way out. Maybe triangle should go all the way out. So for pi over 6, I know that the x value should be bigger than the y value. The x value should be bigger than the y value because like it's further out. The pi over 3 angle, that's the one that's going to have a bigger y value. And the reason I say that is because of the 3 special angles in there, it's either going to be 1/2 square root of 3 over 2 or square root 2 over 2. Those are the different numbers. Those are all the different numbers that could possibly go into these 3 middle ones. And you learn very quickly that that guy belongs to pi over 4. So it's about deciding which of these two comes first for pi over 6, and then it flip-flops for pi over 3. So square root of 3 is a bigger number than 1. Square root of 3 is a bigger number than 1. So square root of 3 over 2 is bigger than 1/2. So square root of 3, I need the x value to be bigger. This is the bigger value. So square root of 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. And I know that pi over 3 should be the reverse. So 1/2, comma, square root of 3 over 2. For pi over 4, it's square root of 2 over 2. That's just, like I said, you memorize that one quickly. There's also a hand trick, and I went over that in the filling out the rest of the unit circle video. This is the point 0, 1. I can do all of the 90-degree angles too. -1, 0, 0, 0, -1. Okay, now there's symmetry. There is symmetry. So this guy all of my pi over 3 angles, they're going to have some symmetry to them where they're the same values but with different signs. Pi over 4s, same idea. And the pi over 6s, same idea. So I'll do the pi over 6s first. I know that they're all going to be square root 3 over 2 comma 1/2, just with different signs. So square root of 3 over 2 comma 1/2, square root of 3 over 2 comma negative 1/2, because both coordinates are negative in this quadrant. Here, square root of 3 positive x, negative y, negative 1/2. Cool. Those blue ones are done. Let's go for the pi over 4 angles. So quadrant 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, comma, y should be positive, so square root 2 over 2. In quadrant 3, both coordinates are negative, so square root 2 over 2, comma, square root 2 over 2. And x should be positive, square root 2 over 2, and y should be negative in quadrant 4. Greens are done. Finally, the pinks. So the pi over 3 angles, they're all 1/2 and then root 3 over 2. So this is 1/2 positive root 3 over 2. In quadrant 3, they are both negative. So 1/2 comma square root negative square root of 3 over 2. And in quadrant 4, positive 1/2 negative square root of 3 over 2. And that's it. I have filled out the entire unit circle. So you learn your own tricks for doing it. Those just happen to be mine. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, but that's how I do it. All right. Well, that's it for now. Believe in yourself. You got this. And I'll see you in another video. Bye.